Michelle stares out her dorm room window at Smithville University, watching the last cars pull away. Summer has arrived. Her friends have left, and she is entirely alone on an emptying campus. A phone call home confirms her drunk mother has completely forgotten to pick her up. To make matters worse, she's fixated on Mike Watkins, a football player who doesn't even know she exists. Desperate for relief, she laces up her running shoes and sprints laps around the campus football field. She pushes herself faster and faster, trying to physically outpace the memory of her mother's neglect. The exercise fails, and she stops, completely out of breath. Michelle is trapped by a profound sense of powerlessness. Her environment offers no support, creating a psychological vacuum that requires an immediate escape. She abandons the track and wanders up the hill overlooking the campus. Pulling a thick, hand-rolled joint from her fanny pack, she lights up. Taking long, deep hits, her perception begins to shift. She watches the thick smoke drift and blend with the clouds, tuning into the warm sun, the chirping birds, and pushing her trauma away. Staring at the empty football field below, she tries to will Mike Watkins into existence, visualizing him running down the turf in tight black pants. Instead of a football player, a bright, shimmering light appears on the 50-yard line. As it fades, two panicked figures materialize out of thin air and immediately sprint toward the main building. The chemical catalyst has taken full effect. Michelle's brain, seeking an alternative to her actual life, begins overwriting her depressing reality with an extraordinary fiction. A flying saucer resembling a low-budget movie prop descends from the sky, and figures in red-plated scuba gear march out. Michelle finds the sight entirely amusing. Seeking cover, she ducks into the dark, silent campus cafeteria. The atmosphere shifts sharply from a sunny high into a state of high-stakes paranoia. She tiptoes into the shadows of the kitchen, feeling a rush of fear about what might be hiding there. But instead of cowering, she leans into the absurdity, jumping into the pantry and yelling "Boo!" at the top of her lungs. A voice shouts back, and in the confusion, she meets the two interdimensional fugitives, Artix and his brother Joey, a muscular, blonde-haired man built like a Greek god in a blue sweatsuit. Joey is even more striking than Mike Watkins, but unlike Mike, who ignores her, Joey is present and vulnerable. Michelle immediately fixates on him, barely listening to Artix as she stares at Joey's physique. As Artix tries to explain the danger, Michelle doesn't look away from Joey. The feelings of rejection from earlier in the afternoon are gone, replaced by a focus on a partner who is suddenly part of her world. The quiet is shattered when one of the red-armored aliens crashes through the kitchen doors to attack the trio. Michelle instinctively grabs an iron frying pan and smacks the alien in the head, but it bounces off without leaving a mark. Her conventional weapons are useless here. She doesn't freeze. Noticing the narrow eye slits on the alien's helmet, she starts hurling glass jars of mustard, relish, and horseradish at its face to blind it, while Joey fights back. Then she throws a jar of mayonnaise. The moment it shatters against the red armor, there is a violent hiss, and thick purple smoke begins pouring from the alien's chest. The alien chokes on the gas, oozes yellow slime, and drops dead. Artix stares in disbelief, realizing that after years of running, he has finally discovered that the Kudor's biology cannot withstand simple mayonnaise. Michelle defeated an interstellar threat with a sandwich spread. By weaponizing a mundane object from her immediate environment, she has moved from a bystander in her own life to the central protagonist of a new one. Armed with their new biological weapon, the trio infiltrates the alien UFO. They hijack a suit of the red armor, emptying its life support system and replacing it with mayonnaise so Michelle can hide inside. To survive in the airlock without oxygen, Joey grabs his own head and pulls. With a stretching noise, his windpipe and lungs pop out of his chest like balloons, allowing him to function perfectly well. Joey's detached head floats through the corridors, dangling by its windpipe, firing lasers out of its eyes at control panels, while his headless, muscular body scoops Michelle up to carry her to safety. Faced with this biological anomaly, Michelle doesn't scream. She falls to her knees on the ship's floor, slapping the ground in hysterical, uncontrollable laughter. At this level of absurdity, The weight of her reality is gone. The more ridiculous the fantasy gets, the more insulated she becomes from the memory of her dorm room window. They crash onto the football field, just as the flying saucer explodes in a massive fireball in the sky. Michelle pulls off her helmet, embraces Joey's muscular torso, and falls into a soft, contented sleep as Artix reassembles his brother. Every ship conflict countered her afternoon in Smithville. The feeling of being forgotten vanished once she saved the mission. Her mental shift is total. The depression felt by the dorm window has vanished, replaced by belonging as the primary architect. When she wakes up, Artix clicks his heels, summoning the space-time transmitigrator, a glowing pillar of color offering a path back to the mothership. Artix warns her that it could be dangerous, but Michelle insists on going with them. She looks at Joey, smiles, and refuses to return to her life. She chooses the dangerous unknown because the alternative is the come-down. Michelle's choice suggests that the weight of reality has a breaking point. When the world at the bottom of the hill offers nothing, the logic of the trip becomes the only reality worth keeping.